Again, I'm Don Alcoholic. And I love that sound, man. I love that sound. My only goal in life was to be like Norm on Cheers. When he walked into a bar and everybody said, Don! And I finally got it when I came here. It took me a lot of pain, a lot of money. And you know it. It just took a lot of shit to get here. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know what I'm going to share about because on my birthdays, my mind is always just scrambled. Because all day long, I'm thinking about me, right? And not really, but it gives me a chance to look back. Thanks, Pat, for reaching out and letting me lead tonight. It's always an honor to lead this meeting. Like I've said before, I probably do it once a year. And that also gives me a chance to reflect on my sobriety, where I'm at, and all that kind of stuff. So it's really good. If there's anybody in here that has not led a meeting, and you got, around a year, get your ass up and lead a meeting. It's good for your sobriety. But yeah, like I said, my mind's normally scrambled when I'm, on my birthday. It's just so emotional thinking back of where I came from. And happy birthday to the rest of you dudes. Happy birthday! And congratulations on the chips. You guys are exactly where you need to be. I remember those days when I got up here to take a chip, and like I tell Matt, you better be fucking smiling when you take that chip. Because, we're in a better place here, man. Once I walk through that door, I'm in heaven. Doesn't matter where it's at. The people in AA have saved my ass. When I came in July 16th, 2013, I checked myself into rehab. Like Tom says, I drank like a pig. When I heard that phrase, drink like a gentleman, I was like, wow, people can do that. Because I couldn't do it. And if you did drink like a gentleman, I didn't hang around with you. I just could not do it. Until I got in here, I realized how bad I drank. But throughout my life, starting in middle school and everything else, coming up through high school, in the service, I always hung around the guys that drank, period. I don't know if they found me or I found them, but I found the guys that liked to drink hard. And one of the tools I used back then was I always drank a little bit less than they did so I didn't get as much trouble as they did. And I found out that worked until I got married. And then there wasn't anybody to, she didn't drink any more than I did, so I couldn't use that excuse. But I met my wife in a bar, which was perfect. And I drank just like I did when I got out of service, as I did for, until I was 49. And, there was a guy that used to come to this meeting, and he said, you drank too much, you fell down, and you couldn't get up. That's what I did, man. I didn't get up for years. I stayed down for years, stayed on that mat for years, in that gutter, in that trench. I just kind of survived. And you guys know how that feels, a lot of you do. And then one day my wife said, you need to go to AA. And I said, okay. So I went to a meeting and got me a six-pack before the meeting, actually. And then I went to the meeting. And I did that for 6 months over at Las Encinas. And I met a lot of good people, but I didn't give a shit about them. I was just there to waste an hour and a half, 2 hours, until I went back to the wife. And I'd smoke a cigar before I went home so she wouldn't smell the beer. And then I realized, why the fuck am I doing this? 6 months, I'm just wasting time. So I just told her, that's enough of that. And then it got worse. And then I got a DUI. And she said, don't come home. And I said, okay. So I threw away my wife and kids for more drinking, another year and a half of drinking. And it was great. It was awesome. Like Tom said, urban camping, right, in my car on the side of the street. For a couple months, bouncing around. I'm 49 years old, bouncing around. I have a job. I was telling Pat, I had a job and a car, and that was it. And things got really bad, man. That pit inside you just grows, that cancer inside you just grows until you just feel worthless. That's the way I felt. Went into work one day. I was up till 2 in the morning drinking. Went into work. said, oh, that wasn't enough drinking. I need to go back and get a six-pack. So I went out and got a six-pack, came back, and they were all like, what the fuck is wrong? What are you doing? And then boss is chasing me around the office, and I'm just trying to stay ahead of him, and I just walked out the door, got in my car, and took off. And about a block away, and this is like 11 o'clock in the morning, about a block away, I heard this little voice. The little voice said, Don, if you don't turn around, you're going to lose everything. And somehow I listened to that and I turned around. Walked back in there, went to the human resources and just sat down and said, I give up. I said, I don't know what to do. So my boss drove me home, took my car keys.
Good.
Yeah, after he left, I took my other car key and went out and got a 12-pack. Came back, and then I drove up to Las Encinas pretty well shit-faced and checked myself in, and that's where it all started. That's where I surrendered. When that big wooden door closed, it just sucked everything out, right? It was like a vacuum. It just sucked everything out of me, and I just sat there and cried. And that's where I surrendered. That's where I found hope. That's where I found faith. That's where I found AA. Just like our principles talk about. I didn't know what those were when I went in there, but that's where the journey started. And that's where I met people like you in the rooms of AA. July 16th was tough, man. I passed out in the little rehab place, and I don't know what I checked on the check-in sheets, but when I woke up, I was in a barbed wire containment. Mariah, right? It's called Mariah? Yeah. Yeah, 2 East, and I think that was for the unstable people. So that's where I was. I was unstable, and the chairs weighed about 200 pounds. You couldn't throw them. And I woke up there and was like, is this rehab? This can't be rehab. This isn't what they show on TV, right? And I was just so disillusioned, but I just did what I was told to do for a couple days. And they finally looked at me and said, you don't belong here. And they moved me over to the normal crazy people. And that's where I thrived, and that's where I started listening. And and that's where I found the Briar Bunch that saved my ass. And did a lot of service work with them. And I forgot to tell you, when I was out on those journeys with those meetings, doing drinking and going to meetings, I met Pops. And I remember he was always in my head, even when I went back to drinking, because he was the guy that put his hand out. When I first came in, he didn't care if I was drunk or not. He just knew I was at a meeting. And that's what we're here for. That's what we do in these meetings, is we put our hand out. And that's an awesome greeting group we have out there now. I get about 6 hugs when I walk in, and that's what I need. I need that feeling that I belong, and this is where I belong. I need to see those birthdays. I need to hear that, Al, amazing, dude. I've sat there for a year and looked at the back of your head, and you look a lot better from the back now. It's amazing how we turn around in this room. I'm blessed with now having my wife and kids back. They allowed me back into their lives, which is amazing. I'm no longer that person. I'm no longer that liar, thief and cheater I was. Nothing that came out of my mouth back then was true. And when I came back to the rooms, I went to a meeting and I saw Pops again. I saw Pavi, and I said, "Why is this old man sitting next to this crazy son of a bitch?" It talks about shooting people with nail guns and stuff like that. But that's who we are. We're all different, and and we're all crazy in a little way. I know I am. And it's just amazing how many great people I've met in this journey. I was thinking the last year just went so fast, just because I'm doing the same thing every day. I get up and I pray. As long as I don't get up and just start running, I'm all right. If I get up and pray, simple prayer, relieve me of the obsession to drink today, and relieve me of the bondage of self. I'm pretty good. I need to keep that spiritual contact. I was looking at the book earlier. The only, I've read the book quite a bit, and the only phrase I can memorize, because I'm an idiot, I don't memorize shit. I'm just your average dude that, I can't retain much anymore, but I can retain certain things, and, all I have is a spiritual a daily reprieve contingent upon the maintenance of my spiritual connection. And that's what I remember out of the book. And that guides me through every day if I maintain that spiritual connection. And that's that little voice that talked to me when I was about to give it all up going down the street. That's that spiritual connection. That was my God shot. That was my moment. And it's amazing what I can do with prayer and what any of us can do with prayer. You know, a couple things, quick little stories. So when I was separated from my wife for about 1.5 years, and I was dating this girl because I was horny, right? And at work, and it wasn't my secretary though. So anyway, I was dating this chick. Yeah, and I had season tickets for the Rams, and the owner had season tickets for the Rams also right behind me, 4 seats. So I'd always take my wife. This is after I got sober, right? I would take my wife and kids, whatever, and then he would give his tickets out to people. Well, lo and behold, one week he gives the tickets to this girl I was dating. Some instant panic, right? Straight back to drinking days, instant panic. I wanted to turn over and lie to her right away. We can't go to that game. You know, because I knew this girl was going to be sitting right behind me. I said, we can't go to that game. So I was trying to make something up, a reason why. And so it was bugging me for like 2 days, and I finally said, you dumb shit, you know, just stop, pause, stop, listen, say a prayer. So I did nothing. I didn't say anything. I just said, okay, let's see what happens. Go to the game. I'm sitting there waiting for her to walk up the aisle, and these guys walked up and sit out behind us. She gave her tickets away to somebody else. You know, yeah. Oh shit, Tom. But that's one little thing. I don't know if it's connected to that spiritual connection or not, but I think it is. You know, I'm gonna wrap that one up to God. You know, but and then the other one was so here I am, 4.5 years sober. I got a DUI in Oklahoma, and I thought, shit, I don't have to worry about it in California. So I paid all the fines and everything, and then I go to get my driver's license renewed, and they look at me like, you know, they're just looking at me, and I'm like, what's wrong? And they go, you need to call Oklahoma. And I'm like, why? And they said, well, you just need to call them. And I said, okay. I called them, and they said, no, you were supposed to have a interlock device in for 18 months before we can release your thing. So here I am, 4.5 years sober, and I have to get an interlock device in. But you know what? That was another God shot, because here I am driving to work in the morning at 5:30, and that's when I did my drinking, going to work. And here I am breathing into this thing every 10 minutes going to work, and it was just a joke. But it was just a humbling experience, put it that way. You know, to have sponsees get in your car and go, why is this guy got a You know? And I'm just like, just go with it, man. Just go with it. Don't worry about it. You know? So that was interesting. I don't know if anybody else has had that happen to them with that sobriety, but, dickhead Don did.
You own that one.
Yeah. But anyway, man, this is an amazing journey. I am just so full of gratitude and humility with everybody in there, newcomers. Man, just find some hope in this meeting. Find some hope, something to grab onto. If your life was as fucked up as mine was, it changes. Like Matt and everybody else is talking about, the miracles are amazing in this program. All you need is a little hope, leads to faith, leads to willingness, leads to action, leads to results, leads to the promises, and the promises give you serenity. So thank you very much.